a mission-led franchise is just, you run it different, right? And when you lead a company where it's life or death for people and it's mission-led, it's just completely different than just an entertainment, or a home services kind of brand. And no knock to any of those companies at all, but it just hits different. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, in fact, the our owners, we talk about them communicating with the customers, standing on deck,
Mm-hmm.
and schmoozing with them. But what you'll learn is some of the stories. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people have these stories of their own drownings or near drownings, and so forth, and the phobias. And a lot of these are cry fests sometimes. I mean,
Yeah,
what business can you own and operate where at the end of the day, the fulfillment that you get as a result of the impact that you've done for people
sure.
is immense. And so we'll have adults where they start out where you have to hold them by the hand walking around in waist deep water just to prove to them that all they have to do is stand up and they're safe, to a point where now they're doing laps. I mean, these are, or that first time that they stuck their face in the water or floated on their back, they're crying, they're hugging you, they're hugging the
Wow.
instructors. They're so grateful, and families are really, really grateful. You've got parents of special needs students that look, there's different degrees of need.
Mm-hmm.
Some that will actually learn how to swim, some that just want to float. That feeling of being in the water is just so comforting to them. And talking to their parents, they're so appreciative of what you do, and it's life changing, and it's something that propagates. You just get more and more into it.
That's awesome. Jeff, what's your vision for the company?
Big picture, I'd like to see hundreds of stores. I'd like to see the growth. Everybody carrying this mission. I'd like to see us actually have a measurable impact on those statistics. But I want to find owners that I want to do business with, people that I want to be partnered with, and that really, really are mission driven the way I am. But I want to see Hudson Valley swim throughout the United States. We're only in a handful. We're in 4 states right now. We'll be in our 5th state. But there's a lot of footprint left in some high demand areas, and I want to make sure that we're in them this year, and I just want to be throughout the United States in the next few years.
Sure. Well, slow and steady definitely wins the race. We have seen many brands where they try to open as many as humanly possible in the first couple of years, but if you can't sustain it, you can't support them, they're not going to last. And it sounds like, I mean, you're growing at a pace that not only you're comfortable with, but it also sounds like you have to be really, really selective on who you bring on. You said earlier about bringing on somebody who, obviously you can see is a good fit for your brand. And I would imagine too, that's got to be a challenge when you're working with the broker groups. Now you mentioned earlier about having a good relationship with the brokers. And I'm curious to know, what do you think it takes to be successful in working with broker groups? Because it's more than just say, hey, here's my company, here's what we do, here's the investment range.
Well, it's really it's not necessarily just the group itself, but it's the brokers themselves, and so there are in each of those groups a handful of brokers that we work with time and time again. Obviously, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily always successfully, um, but they learn more about our business. The more they learn about our business and the type of people that we think are going to be successful. See, I want you to be successful. I want our owners to be super successful. All right. And I'm really, really driven to make sure they're successful. That's why I meet with them as much as I do. And it's not just me, it's the whole team. But I don't want to sell you a territory if I don't think A, that's a good territory,
Right.
and B, that you can successfully operate it. If you're looking for a 9 to 5 job, or if you're looking, you're a business owner. What business owner kind of works 9 to 5, unless you're emptying vending machines? This is a business, and the more you put in, the more you get out. The ones that are just already talking to me about their exit strategy, yeah, you might want an exit strategy, but maybe
Sure.
operate for a couple of days before you do that, before you start planning it.
Right. Right. How big is a territory?
Our territories are not necessarily based on radius. It's based on the number of children 14 and under. So we look for a
Okay.
territory size of 40,000 children ages 14 and under. That we feel will provide you ample opportunity. Plus, if you do have competition, it certainly could support it. If you look at competition, let's say they're a large school and they have 500 students. If you have three schools, within a 5 mile radius of you, and that 40,000 usually is around 3 to 5 mile radius. If you have three schools that are supporting 500 students, well, there's still plenty of addressable market left. And so, I think one of the things that is good, it's kind of like the concept of having a gas station on every corner. You kind of know to go to that corner for the gas station, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people know about swimming and they know about swim lessons, and they're either happy with the organization they're with or they're not. And if they're not happy, they're looking for others, and then we're an option. And if nothing else, we do a great job of marketing.
Right.
And so, for most people that have no idea where to go for swim lessons, we become one of the primary options when they start looking around.
Sure. And, I'm thinking about how similar, of course, your business is to the kids sports league business. And that is your franchisee. He or she is only as good as their instructors, right? In other words, the instructors are the front line. The customer experience is completely driven by the instructor, by the instruction they're getting, and whether they like the instructor, whether they're learning something. How does the franchisee find instructors, and how do they screen them and recruit and train?
So we help identify your lead instructor,
mm-hmm.
and we'll help interview them. Obviously, you don't know how to interview that type of a skill.
Sure.
So we'll co-interview so that you can learn. We do have the questions to ask in our ops manual. But nothing beats the ability to, be part of it and really listen in. So we'll help you identify. And once you've identified who that lead instructor is going to be, and we're looking for somebody that minimum has 5 years of hands-on experience. But really, I'm looking for an aquatics professional, somebody that may have 10, 15, 20 years. This is what they do. And that's the kind of person we're looking for. We're not looking for a minimum wage. That's another thing. A lot of the swim schools are focused, I would say, on the beginner levels. And because they're focused on the beginner levels, they think they can hire, somebody that has no experience. Maybe they were a good swimmer in high school, and train them. And so, they've got a year, now they have a year of experience. Well, our folks have been teaching for years, and there's just such a significant difference between, a rookie and an experienced instructor. So when you go back to, that experience that a customer is getting in the water, it's a result of experience,
mm-hmm.
And that experience isn't just being able to teach a lesson, but it's teaching infants, singing to the babies, as well as interacting with an adult. You're not going to get that out of a high school student. Once we've identified that person and interviewed them, then they send them to one of our New York locations, where we will co-teach with them and work with them to teach our program. It's one that I mentioned earlier that we've developed ourselves. So they need to learn our verbiage. They need to learn the techniques that we use, and some of the games that we introduce. Our games are all skill based, and so while the kids having fun, they're actually learning something. So.
Right.
We kill two birds. We hate birds.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fumey, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.